Spider-Man vs. the Sinister Six is a build I'm surprised I've never done before, and since this is normally a huge fight, I'm going to make a huge build. So first I'm going to start off with this huge base, then I made this little street, which took up all of my dark gray tile pieces. Then I put this gray line of plates, which is for the sidewalk, and I want the sidewalk to be elevated, which is why those gray plates are there. And then I tiled off the entire sidewalk, and I also took the taxi from the bridge battle set, and this is how it looks on the road. And then I leveled up the rest of the build with plates, so that it would be even with the gray plates that I put on there earlier. And now it was time to start the New York buildings. Now I am going to be building 3 buildings. So I started up on the first layer and I got white, red, and tan. And these buildings will not be completely closed, I'm going to have them open in the back. Next I added these plates on the top of all 3 buildings. And the plates are so that whenever I build the walls up, on the inside there will still be like a ledge or like a lip to where I can rest the floor on it, so that I can have an interior for all the buildings. Then I built up the second story walls for the red and white building. Now I do feel like that these walls are really plain and kind of boring, but don't worry, I'll get to that in a moment. I'm not just gonna leave it like this. So I didn't even start building up the second floor for the tan building because these walls just suck. I gotta fix them. So my first problem was the windows. Like if you look at actual New York buildings, this just does not look good. So I came up with this, which I think looks a lot better. I've seen other people do this on New York buildings and I thought it looked pretty good. It's very simple, but yet it looks a lot better than what I was doing. Now to fix the actual buildings and make it look better, I just gotta destroy all 3 of them and completely restart. So that's what I did. I ripped up all 3 buildings and I restarted. Now here's the start of the new white building. I meant to record the first layer and I guess I didn't, so I only have footage of the first and second layer together. So the first layer is just a black layer and then the second layer is white. Now I did that because I realized most New York buildings actually have a different color on the first layer, at least the ones that I'm looking at. And also, I just did not like having the same color on every single level. I wanted to make the first level and however many layers I go up, I wanted those to be different. I didn't want like layer 1 through 3 to be the same. So with this one, I have these big glass windows in the front, and one of them has some cracked glass, and you'll see why later. And then you can see the new windows, and I also have these 2 black pillars on the sides. And on this building, I'm actually putting like a ledge in the front, just to not make the walls look so flat and to have those black pillars. But now I'm going to move on to the second building, which is still going to be red, but the first layer is going to be white. And I decided to turn it into a pizza shop. And I got this big glass window and this door that have stickers on them. I also have this color changing thing. I don't really know what it's called, but I see it on a bunch of pizza shops, and really just a bunch of small stores in New York. Then I built up the second layer walls, and they're very simple. It's just 2 windows. And also, here's how the inside of both of the buildings look as of right now. And here's my first test roof for the pizza shop. And it's terrible, I know. It's gonna go through like 3 or 4 changes before I get the final roof. Here's the second design, which I don't actually think is horrible, I just don't like that it's gray. It is going to be changed a few more times, but as of right now, I'm going to leave it like this. Now it's time to go back to the white building, and the first thing I did was just build up the third layer. It's literally identical, it's just another layer. Next, I made the roof, which is going to be changed a little bit, but as of right now, this is what I have. It is the same color as the first floor, because I didn't want to make it just white, because it would just look weird. I think having the black roof makes it look a little bit better, but I still didn't think it looked right, so I had to fix it up a little bit. So I added that white ledge that I have on the second floor, which I think made it transition a little bit better. And then I also added those 2 black pillars to make it look the same as the second floor. And also, it's really hard to see, but on the roof, I have these little things that stick out to make it almost act like it's supporting the weight of the roof. But I just added that so it didn't look so plain. Now before I add any more to those buildings, I need to deal with this tan one. So first I gotta destroy it. And I realized I wasn't gonna have enough tan pieces to make an actual building, so I decided that I'm just gonna make a gray one. So first I built up this very simple gray wall, and I don't know the name of the bricks, but I put a bunch of bricks down that have all those studs on the side, because I want to do some kind of design on the walls. And then I built up the walls for the second story, which obviously does not look very complete, but that's because this is the floor that's going to be completely destroyed. And now here's that wall completed. It has a bunch of fire and a bunch of slope pieces. It looks very jagged and stuff because there was a huge explosion. Then I built the roof, which again, this is not the final design, but for this building on the roof, I also did that ledge, just like the one on the white building. And if you look on the part with the gray tiles on the top of the roof, I really wanted it to kind of hang over in the front, but I was completely out of dark tile pieces after that road. I did not have enough at all. So I went back to the pizza shop, and this is where I changed up the roof. I stole all of the dark tile pieces, and I fixed up the roof how I wanted it to look. So see, now it has the hangover, and I also added these slope pieces on the bottom to make it just not look as plain. Then I went back to the pizza shop, and it was time to fix up that roof. So I figured instead of doing a gray roof, I think white would have made a lot more sense. So I just made the exact same roof, but I just changed it it to white. And I think this looks a lot better than the gray roof. Now before I start working on the interiors of the buildings, I have to finish the front of the gray building. And this is what I came up with. I don't think it's that good, honestly. I think it turned out okay. It's definitely my least favorite building, but it's whatever. I also added these lights in the front, which look alright. Next it's time to start on the interiors. So I first started on the pizza shop. And on the first floor, I have it completely tiled off with the tan tiles. And then I added a counter and some seats. And I have a worker and 2 people inside the shop eating. One of them is eating a slice of pizza and the other one is paying for his food. And then for the second floor, I made it like the owner's house. And these interiors are going to be very, very simple. So this one just has a green bed, 2 side tables, and a rug. And then I stuck it inside the building, and that's the completed interior. Now I'm going to make the color of the flooring the same on the next 2 buildings. So I made 3 same size plates for both buildings. And now I gotta put a bunch of stuff on them. So first I made 4 beds, 1 green, 1 dark red, and 2 red. And like I said, these are gonna be extremely simple. You're not even gonna really see them. I really just made them so that the backs aren't hollow. So I put the beds in there. I added a rug on each one of them. One of them has 2 beds, and then they all have some kind of like nightstand or something. And before I put them in, I have to make the first floor of both buildings. So I started off with the white building, and both buildings don't really have a theme. Like the red one was a pizza shop. These 2 I just made buildings. They aren't really anything, to be honest. I have no idea what they're supposed to be. So for the first one, I tiled it off, and I put a plant, a counter, and a rug. And I had absolutely no tile pieces after this. So for the next building, I had to come up with something else. And I didn't have any brown tiles, and the only other color that I had that would even make sense was light gray tiles, but I'm saving those for the sidewalk outside. And after I made those 3 floors, I didn't even have any more plates in that color. So I'm not gonna lie, I just got some gray plates, threw them on the floor, added a plant and a rug, and that was it. So then I grabbed all 3 of the plates. Then I added 2 on the white building and 1 on the gray one. And now the interiors for all 3 buildings were complete. So here's how the front looks with all the interiors. The only one that's even noticeable is the one with the huge hole in the wall. Now the next thing I wanted to do is go back to the roofs and add a bunch of stuff on top of them. So after a while, I have an extremely small water tower. I have a billboard with nothing on it. And on the pizza building, I have some pipes and stuff. And then on the gray building, I have some pipes and some AC units. Now the next thing I did was find out where everything was going to go, and I finished off the entire sidewalk, which is what I was saving all those gray plates for. Then I got the taxi and changed it a little bit, which is going to go on the build. And I built this weird little Sandman thing. I also made these cool arms for Doc Ock. I kind of like them. And now it was time to grab all the figures and add them to the build. So I grabbed the civilians, Spider-Man, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Sandman, Kraven the Hunter, Electro, and Vulture. And now with all the figures on the build, it is completed. I have the flipped over taxi next to the cracked window, which is why the window is cracked. I have a civilian running away from it, and Kraven Hunter is right there about to stop the guy. Up at the top, I have Doc Ock climbing up the building, and I have Spider-Man diving down to try and save the civilian from Kraven the Hunter. Then on the other roof, I have Electro and Vulture going after Spider-Man, and a little bit lower, I have Sandman and Green Goblin, and Green Goblin is throwing a second bomb into the building. And if you look inside, there's also a guy screaming because the bomb is flying towards the building. There's also the tiniest little amount of rubble on the floor, and I did put some rubble in Sandman's build because it would make sense for it to be in there, because there was supposed to be a lot more debris everywhere. I just didn't add it. But now with all of that, I have built Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six in Lego.